What's up, guys? Well, I'm back again with another tutorial. So someone was asking me how to make a sub in Sylenth, and it's very much the same way you would in Massive or any other synthesizer for that matter. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Subs are one of the most basic things to make in synthesis, so let's get into it. For a sub, you only really need one oscillator, but of course, you know, throwing in more oscillators does beef it up a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to menu, initialize our preset, and what you're going to do is set your poly to 5, or you could try it on 1 or 3. I liked it for 5, it just gave it a little bit more life. So, okay, for oscillator 1, I just selected a sine wave. I put one voice on it. Retrig is on. I didn't even play around with turning it off or turning it on. I just left it on. And this is down 2 octaves. And so let's see. Oscillator 2 here. It's the same thing, just another sine wave. One voice. The phasing is all the way right here at 360. I'm going to solo this and show you guys something real quick. So when you're playing around phasing, especially with these low oscillators, sometimes they can cancel each other out, so you have to listen out for that. So if I put this at 180, good idea if I solo this, you don't hear anything. But if I bring it all the way to 360, you can hear it. And if I bring it all the way down to 0, you can still hear it. But at 0, it still kind of clashes with the other oscillator right here on 1. So what you want to do is bring it all the way to 360, and that's the reason why we're playing with phasing in this case. And phasing, when it's at 180, obviously cancels it out. So I'm going to play it. It's playing, but you can't hear anything because the waves are canceling each other out. So when you're using very low oscillators or very low subby sounds, watch out for phasing and look up phasing. That's very important. Okay, so anyway, so just make sure you bring your phasing, bring this down 2 octaves, sine wave, one voice, retrig on. That's it. For our amp envelope, we're going to just have the attack all the way down because we don't want a clicky sound. You're going to have a little bit of a click sound, but it's okay. It's a little bit of a transient attack, so we want that. Our decay right here is going to be at 4.83. Sustain is going to be at 4.94. And our release will be at 310. So it'd be a very good idea to save your sub. I'm going to show you how important adding a sub to like a bass line or anything, really how important it is. Okay, so now let's go into part B. So make sure you unsolo this if you did that too. So part B is not too essential, but I added it in just to give it a little bit more beef. You can just save everything we just did in part A, and that's a very basic sub. So I'm going to solo B again and show you what's going on in part B. So it's not exactly sub. Well, it is very low frequency, is very similar to sub, but it's not that classic sine wave sub. What's going on here is we have 2 triangle waves on each oscillator. So these are triangle, and they're both down 3 octaves, both one voice, both with retrig on, and that's it. Let's see, that is it. And if you don't know this, you can press this little C right here in amp envelope, so that means copy, and you can bring it over and paste it into B. So as you can see in Sylenth, there's a lot of, you can copy and paste almost every section. Well, really the filter, the amp envelope, and the these mod envelopes down here in the oscillators, of course. And that's it. That's how you make a sub in Sylenth. And if it's up to you if you want to play around with the legato and glide it. I really don't know why you would want that, but it's an option, of course. And if you want to compress it a little bit, I recommend use a other compressor, not the one in Sylenth. Maybe do it to your taste. So okay, now that we've got this sub, I've shown you guys how to make this massive sub a few times in other videos, but I'll go over it again here because I'm talking about subs exclusively in this video. So in massive, it's not that much different. You just have sine waves, and this one is a sine square, and it's almost all the way at the bottom right here, almost all the way completely at sine, but it's got a little bit of square in it, so it's not all the way down. Same with this one down here. This top one, oscillator 1, is down an octave, and this bottom one is obviously down 2 octaves. Notice that the amp envelope right here on this one is sort of pointing towards the T in intensity, so it's kind of not halfway or anything like that. And I don't know why I did that. I made this a long time ago, but it is there, so do that. I also routed a little bit of feedback here. Not essential to the sound, but you can do that just ever so slightly. And there's no filtering, no nothing. Voicing is kind of what matters here, so you just want to have a 16:1 and make sure you could be on any of these. The mono sounds are probably a good idea for the voicing of a sub, but I have it on poly, so do that also. And let's see, routing doesn't really matter because none of these inserts or effects or anything are going anywhere, just the oscillators. And if you do want to beef this one up a bit, you can add any of these tubes right here. I like to add in Bronner tube, or actually no, it's classic tube I like to add on this. And what I might do is just let's see, let's try Bronner. So just these settings right here and just adding it in. It just gives it a little bit of a color, so that's kind of nice. And that's it. That's how you make a sub in Massive. So it's a good idea to have subs, and I'll show you why. I'm gonna just mute my subs. Yeah, I'm gonna mute my subs, and you're gonna hear this little part right here without this. Let me play with the subs actually. So you're gonna hear just one sub. I'm not gonna have two subs. I just made this other sub to show you how I'm making Sylenth. I don't have two subs in my song. That'd be crazy. So let me play you this part. Okay, sounds okay. Now let's hear it without the sub. Obviously, there's a big difference. Without the sub, it's just lacking that low end. Without a kick or a bass line that low, there's just a big old gap right there in that low end, and you gotta be careful with subs because you don't want to get muddy mixes, and I'm not in the mixing stage yet, so things can be a little muddy here, and that's okay, but you want to all costs avoid it as early as possible, so don't muddy up your the subs are not meant to be the loudest thing in the mix. They're actually supposed to be one of the quieter things in the mix, it's just there to support some of the other sounds that are lacking in bass frequency because they're being high passed so that they don't clash with the bass and the kick and all that. And this sub is supposed to be a nice complement to everything. So subs can be a little tricky at first because they have to complement everything without ruining the mix. And so let's hear this part again, but we're going to play the other sub right here. So okay, so that's with the sub, without. As you can see, that is quite a difference. Now, mine's a little loud just for this sake of demonstration and tutorial, but you might want to have yours a little bit quieter than that. Maybe down 3 or 6 more dB than mine, maybe even 9. Some people move their mixes in increments of 3 dB or 4 dB. I like doing the 4 dB rule, so if I think this is too loud, I will move it down 4 dB, and if it's at that point too quiet, then I'll move it up a dB and see how that sounds. And if I can't figure out by then well, I'm gonna have to rethink it with compression or something like that. So I hope you guys found this useful. I'm gonna probably have more videos today. I have a lot of videos I want to start getting out of the way, so, and I'm of course gonna try to get to everyone's requests a little bit. So thanks for watching, guys. Always watch my videos in HD, and like and subscribe. It really helps me out and lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. So thanks, guys.